Hello all, I am Vijayendra Reddy, Current Affairs faculty. In today's video lecture, we will see some national current affairs which happened from November 21st to 30th of 2017. First, we will start with the 15th Finance Commission. The central government has constituted the 15th Finance Commission in November 2017. And N.K. Singh has been appointed as the chairman of this 15th Finance Commission. Before going into further details of this 15th Finance Commission, I will tell more about this Finance Commission. Finance Commission is a constitutional body. It is mentioned in the Article 280 of the Indian Constitution. Finance Commission's duty or job is to decide, or it will recommend the sharing of the tax revenue between the center and the states. Every 5 years it is constituted by the President of India. The Finance Commission will have a chairman and 4 other members. The first Finance Commission chairman was K.C. Niyogi, and the most recent one is the 14th Finance Commission, and the chairman of this 14th Finance Commission is Dr. Y. Venugopal Reddy, or popularly known as Y.V. Reddy. He is former RBI governor, and 14th Finance Commission's recommendations are implemented from April 1st, 2015 to March 31st, 2020. That means this period is 14th Finance Commission's recommendations period. So, this is very, very important. Many questions come from this topic, like Finance Commission is constituted by the President of India for how many years? It is constituted for every 5 years, or who is the current chairman, or who is the 14th Finance Commission chairman, Dr. Y.V. Reddy, or I will tell you more about the upcoming 15th Finance Commission, or what is the duty of Finance Commission, sharing of the tax revenue between the center and the states. And not only that, as far as polity is concerned, they will ask you this question: under which article of the Indian Constitution Finance Commission is constituted every 5 years? Then the answer is Article 280. Or who is the first Finance Commission chairman? K.C. Niyogi. So, all are very, very repeated questions, and all are very, very important for your examination point of view. Now, we will come to current affairs. What happened on November 27th, 2017? 15th Finance Commission is constituted. And this 15th Finance Commission is led by former Revenue Secretary N.K. Singh. So, N.K. Singh has been appointed as the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. He is not only former Revenue Secretary, but also former member of Planning Commission and also former Rajya Sabha member. So, N.K. Singh will head the 15th Finance Commission, and the 4 members of this 15th Finance Commission, apart from the chairman N.K. Singh, are Shaktikanta Das. He is former Economic Affairs Secretary. Then Ramesh Chand, he is an agriculture expert, and he is currently a member of Niti Aayog, which is a premier think tank of the Indian government. And Ashok Lahiri. Ashok Lahiri is a former CEA, former Chief Economic Advisor, and currently non-executive chairman of Bandhan Bank. Bandhan Bank is a recent private sector bank in our country. And the 4th member is Anup Singh, and he is a Georgetown University professor. So, you must remember not only the Finance Commission's present 15th Finance Commission's chairman's name N.K. Singh, but also you should remember the 4 members. I will repeat these 4 members' names: Shaktikanta Das, Ashok Lahiri, Ramesh Chand, and Anup Singh. And apart from these 4 members, the secretary to the commission is an IAS officer, Aravind Mehta. So, IAS officer Aravind Mehta is the secretary to this 15th Finance Commission. And the 15th Finance Commission is required to submit its report by October 2019. So, it has to submit its report by October 2019 to the Government of India, and the 15th Finance Commission's recommendations will be implemented from April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2025. I will repeat, 15th Finance Commission's recommendations will be implemented from 2020 financial year 2020 to 2025, 2025. I already said that it will be implemented for Finance Commission's recommendations will be implemented for 5 years. And this 15th Finance Commission will have another additional duty, that is, it has to analyze the impact of GST, goods and services tax, on the finances of the center and also the states, apart from the normal job of recommending sharing of the tax revenue between the center and the states. So, it has got one more responsibility, analyzing the impact of GST on both center and the states. So, remember all these points about this 15th Finance Commission, and remember this topic is very, very important. It is going to be asked in many exams in the next 2-3 years in your future exams. Then from 15th Finance Commission, we will move to a new scheme launched by the Government of India for women, which is called as Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Kendra, PMMSK, Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Kendra. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, you call it a CCEA, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is chaired by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on November 22nd, 2017, has given approval to a new scheme called Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Kendra. And as the name indicates, it is for the empowerment of women. And this scheme will empower particularly rural women through community participation. And the government plans to reach out the 115 most backward districts in India with 920 Mahila Shakti Kendras. And these Mahila Shakti Kendras will facilitate skill development, employment, digital literacy, health and nutrition. Not only these Mahila Shakti Kendras, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has also approved the expansion of the flagship program of the central government called Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme is the main aim of this mega project is to improve child sex ratio and also to control or to curb female infanticide. At present, this Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program is covering 161 districts in India. Now, the government or the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has given approval to expand this scheme to 640 districts in India. So, this is another major decision taken by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which met under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on November 22nd, 2017. So, remember these two, expansion of Beti Bachao Beti Padhao from 161 districts to 640 districts all over India, and also starting of a new scheme called Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Kendra, which will be first started in 115 most backward districts with the setting up of 920 Mahila Shakti Kendras. Then one big global conference happened in New Delhi in November 2017, and it is a 2-day conference which is called as GCCS, that is Global Conference on Cyberspace. I will repeat, Global Conference on Cyberspace. And this is the first time this Global Conference on Cyberspace happened in a country other than the OECD members. I will tell you what is this OECD. OECD stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which consists of mostly European countries, and most of them are developed countries, and OECD is headquartered in Paris, France. So, this is a very, very creditable achievement for the Indian government, that first time this global conference on cyberspace happened outside this OECD group, and it was hosted by New Delhi on November 23rd and 24th with the theme called Cyber for All, an inclusive, sustainable, developmental, safe and secure cyberspace. I will repeat the theme of this global conference on cyberspace. Cyber for All, an inclusive, sustainable, developmental, safe and secure cyberspace. the Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated this global conference on cyberspace, and in this conference he said that the digital technology is a great leveler, and he also said that because of this technology only, India, which is a developing country, has equaled developed countries, or in fact India is competing with developed nations because of this technology only. And not only this, he said that there is a program called Digital India, and this Digital India is the world's largest technology driven program. So, Narendra Modi is saying that Digital India is the world's largest technology driven program. And the Prime Minister also said that JAM Trinity, JAM, JAM stands for Jan-Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. Jan-Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. The Prime Minister said that this JAM Trinity has helped in reducing corruption and increasing transparency. So, he was attributing all these changes to the latest technology which India has adopted. And at the same time, he warned that the cyberspace must not become a playing ground for terrorism and radicalization. He warned about this terrorism and radicalization in cyberspace. Then we will move to a judge called Dalveer Bhandari. Dalveer Bhandari has been re-elected to the International Court of Justice. First, I will tell you more about this ICJ or International Court of Justice, then later I will tell more about Dalveer Bhandari. International Court of Justice is the judicial organ of the United Nations organization. That is, it is the judicial organ of UNO. UNO has 6 organs, we all know, but ICJ is the only organ which is located outside New York. That means the rest of the 5 UNO organs are located in New York, but whereas only ICJ is located in The Hague. The Hague is a city in Netherlands. And ICJ has 15 judges, 1-5. This is also very important. These questions are repeatedly asked. ICJ has 15 judges and the tenure of a judge is 9 years. And 5 of these judges retire every 3 years. So, these are all very, very important questions. Where is ICJ located? ICJ is located in The Hague, Netherlands. How many judges are there in the International Court of Justice? 15 judges. Or what is the tenure or term of a judge in ICJ? It is 9 years. And in 2012, Dalveer Bhandari became ICJ judge, and recently he was re-nominated as ICJ judge. That means he will be there for another 9 years. So, India's nominee to the ICJ, Dalveer Bhandari, has been re-elected. It happened in a very dramatic circumstances. He was elected only after the withdrawal of Britain's nominee, Christopher Greenwood. So, Christopher Greenwood, a Britain's nominee, withdrew from the contest, and Dalveer Bhandari won this election, and he has been elected as ICJ judge for one more time. He will be there for 9 years. And this is the first time ever since the inception of ICJ 71 years ago that Britain will not have a judge in the International Court of Justice. So, Britain will not have any representation in ICJ, whereas India is continuing to have representation through Dalveer Bhandari, who once functioned as Supreme Court judge. So, this is also a very, very important point. Then suppose the paper is difficult, they might ask you who is that British nominee contestant who has withdrawn from the competition against Dalveer Bhandari, then your answer must be Christopher Greenwood. He is from United Kingdom. And I will tell more about Indian ICJ judges. This is also very important. Dalveer Bhandari is the 4th Indian to be elected to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, the Netherlands. The first three ICJ judges are B.N. Rao, Nagendra Singh, R.S. Pathak, and now the fourth Indian is Dalveer Bhandari, former Supreme Court judge. From Dalveer Bhandari, we will move to a woman IAS officer. In fact, she is retired IAS officer. Her name is Snehalata Srivastava. So, Snehalata Srivastava has been appointed as the first ever woman Secretary General of Lok Sabha. So, the present Lok Sabha Secretary General is a woman. Her name is Snehalata Srivastava. She is a 1982 batch IAS officer from Madhya Pradesh. And Snehalata Srivastava has replaced Anup Misra. So, this is also very important for your exam. Who is the first woman Secretary General of Lok Sabha? Snehalata Srivastava, a retired IAS officer. Then we will discuss one more woman. She is in fact a Hindi actress. Her name is Dia Mirza. So, Hindi actress Dia Mirza has been appointed the United Nations Environment Goodwill Ambassador for India. United Nations Environment Program is headquartered in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya, and for that program's Goodwill Ambassador for India, it is Dia Mirza, who is a Bollywood actress. So, as she became the Goodwill Ambassador for India for UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, she will work with the United Nations to spread the message on priority areas such as clean air, then clean seas, then wildlife protection and climate change. So, in all these areas, Dia Mirza will work with the United Nations Environment Program, as she has been appointed as the Goodwill Ambassador for India. Then there is one more woman who is in the news. Her name is Shubhangi Swaroop. Shubhangi Swaroop, she hails from Uttar Pradesh, and in November 2017, she became the first woman Navy pilot. So, Shubhangi Swaroop is Indian Navy's first female pilot. She hails from Uttar Pradesh and she is the daughter of a naval commander. Then she will be trained at the Air Force Academy, which is located at Dundigal near Hyderabad. So, where is this Air Force Academy? It is in Hyderabad. Then in November 2017, the 48th International Film Festival of India happened in Panaji, Goa, which is called IFFI, International Film Festival of India. The 48th edition happened in Goa, Goa's capital Panaji in November 2017. And you also remember this point that the Goa is the permanent venue for the IFFI festival every November, International Film Festival of India. And at this 48th IFFI festival, International Film Festival of India, the best film award was given to a French film called 120 BPM or 120 beats per minute. And this French movie called 120 beats per minute was given the Golden Peacock Award because it is the best film. And in this IFFI festival, another very important award is given to Amitabh Bachchan, Indian film's megastar, and the award name is Indian Film Personality of the Year. So, the Indian Film Personality of the Year award has been given to which Bollywood actor? It is Amitabh Bachchan, and the award was presented to him by Information and Broadcasting Minister Smriti Irani. Then there is one more award called Ozone Award, and as the name indicates, it is given for people who work towards climate change. This Ozone Award is given by the UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. Just now I told that it is headquartered in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. And the latest, the 2017 Ozone Award is given to former Indian Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave. So, Anil Madhav Dave, former environment minister, was given this Ozone Award posthumously. He passed away in May 2017 while he was in office, and for his phenomenal work he was given this Ozone Award in the political leadership category. He was recognized for his leadership role in signing a historic agreement called Kigali Agreement in 2016. So, where is this Kigali? Kigali is the capital of Rwanda, where a historic climate change agreement was signed. Particularly, this agreement is related to reduction of HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, which are very, very dangerous. They are more dangerous than carbon dioxide. In fact, hydrofluorocarbons are refrigerants which are found in air conditioners and refrigerators. They are highly pollutants and they are very dangerous. So, to reduce these hydrofluorocarbons, nearly 200 countries signed this Kigali Agreement, which happened in the African country of Rwanda. And in signing that deal, our Indian Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave played a stellar role. But unfortunately, in May 2017, he died while in office, and he was given this Ozone Award posthumously. And for your information, the present Forest, Environment and Climate Change Minister of India is Dr. Harsha Vardhan. So, remember all these points. Then there is one British company called QS, which is more famous because it gives every year some universities rankings. So, that company name is QS, which stands for Quacquarelli Symonds. So, this Quacquarelli Symonds, which is a British company, and it is specialized in higher education and study abroad. It is best known for publishing the QS World University Rankings. So, normally it will publish the World Universities Rankings, but what happened in November 2017 is this QS company has released the list of top 300 universities among the 5 BRICS countries. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So, among these top 300 universities, among these 5 BRICS countries, in the top 10, 2 Indian universities are figured. What are these 2 Indian universities? IIT Bombay, Indian Institute of Technology Bombay is ranked 9th, and Indian Institute of Science Bangalore is ranked 10th. So, that means out of, you remember these 2 universities, out of top 10, 2 Indian universities are there in the latest QS BRICS university rankings. One is IIT Bombay, which is ranked 9th, and the other is Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, which is ranked 10. And the university which topped these rankings is Tsinghua University, which is in China, and in fact 7 Chinese universities are in the top 10. I am repeating, 7 Chinese universities are in the top 10, 2 universities belong to India and 1 university belongs to Russia. So, this is about the latest QS BRICS universities rankings, and these rankings were released in November 2017. So, from this university rankings, we will move to one very big business group called Bharti Group, which is headed by Sunil Mittal or Sunil Bharti Mittal. In fact, he is the founder and chairman of mobile company called Airtel. And this Bharti Group is in the news because the Bharti family has pledged, or it has announced that it is giving 10% of its wealth, which is worth about rupees 7,000 crore, to philanthropy or charity. So, Bharti family announcing 10% of its wealth, that is worth about 7,000 crore, to philanthropy work or charity work. And in my last video lecture, I said that Nandan Nilekani, who is and his wife Rohini Nilekani, who are the co-founders of Infosys, a mega IT company, have pledged that 50% of their wealth will be given to philanthropy work. And this Sunil Mittal's announcement also comes very closely after the announcement of Nandan Nilekani's pledge. And Bharti Group's philanthropic arm is called Bharti Foundation, and this Bharti Foundation will very soon start Swachh Bharati University of Science and Technology, and it is going to be a world class university. Remember the university name, Swachh Bharati University for Science and Technology. It is going to be a world class university, and it will provide free education to the deserving youth from poor families. And it will be, the Swachh Bharati University will be set up in North India, and it will start its operations in 2021. And the university will have a strong focus on technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics and IoT, or Internet of Things. So, remember all these points. Sunil Mittal giving 10% of his family's wealth to charity or philanthropy, and also remember the university name, which will come up in 2021 in North India, Swachh Bharati University. Then India's biggest bank, State Bank of India, has started one mobile app called YONO, YONO, YONO app. YONO app, or YONO stands for You Need Only One. So, the app name is YONO, which stands for You Need Only One. In fact, it was launched by the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in November 2017, and this YONO app is a unified integrated application which would offer all kinds of financial and lifestyle products. And on this occasion, SBI new chairman Rajneesh Kumar stated that the State Bank of India customers can open an account. The customers can open an account using this YONO app in just 5 minutes. So, this is the facility which we can get through this YONO app. Just 5 minutes, this SBI account can be opened. And this YONO app can be accessed through both Android platform and also iOS platform. Then finally, in these national affairs, we will go to one defense event that happened, which made India very, very proud, and that is called BrahMos supersonic missile. First, I will tell you what is this BrahMos supersonic missile, and I will tell you what happened to this missile during this period. BrahMos is the world's fastest supersonic missile. That means, what is a supersonic missile? Supersonic missile means it travels faster than the speed of sound. The speed of sound is 1 Mach, whereas our BrahMos missile travels at the speed of 2.8 Mach. That means it travels nearly 3 times faster than the speed of sound, and its range is 290 kilometers. That means it can hit a target which is 290 kilometers away. And it is a joint collaboration, or this missile is developed jointly by India and Russia. This is also asked in many exams. So, which two countries have developed BrahMos missile? It is India and Russia. In fact, it is very easy for you to remember. If you break the word BrahMos, it comes from the names of 2 rivers, Brahmaputra, which is an Indian river, and Moskva, which is a Russian river. Remember, Russia's capital is Moscow, and this city of Moscow is located on the banks of this river Moskva. So, it comes from the names of 2 rivers, Brahmaputra and Moskva. And you also remember a very famous scientist, his name is Dr. A. Shivatanu Pillai. He is known as the father of BrahMos Aerospace. So, he is considered as the father of BrahMos missile. It is in the news once again. The reason is this BrahMos supersonic missile was test fired for the first time from a fighter jet called Sukhoi 30 MKI. I will repeat the fighter jet name, Sukhoi 30 MKI. So, first time it was launched from a combat jet called Sukhoi 30 MKI. It is very crucial because we have launched it successfully from this Sukhoi fighter jet. That means now this BrahMos missile can be launched from land, sea and air. That is why Indian Army, Indian Navy and Indian Air Force have now inducted this BrahMos supersonic missiles. So, this is something very unique about BrahMos. All the three armed forces of India can use BrahMos missile because it can be launched from land, sea and air. And on the success of this BrahMos test firing, the Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has congratulated the DRDO team, Defence Research and Development Organization team, as well as BrahMos Aerospace team. And you also remember the present chairman of DRDO, it is S. Christopher. S. Christopher is the chairman of Defence Research and Development Organization. Previously, this chairman post was called Director General, but last year it was redesignated as chairman. So, we have to call now it as the chief of DRDO is called as chairman and the present chairman of DRDO is S. Christopher. So, BrahMos missile is very important for your exam. Thank you.